now as well different blockchain types. So what's the best blockchain, layer 1 or layer 2 for gaming?
I don't know that I don't know that there's a best one, so to speak. And also we're quite public about our desire to support projects on many different chains. We're actually investors in many different chains as well, probably at least 5 or 6, maybe more, and we build on all of them. So I think having this vibrant, competitive ecosystem is really important because blockchains are not just a technology choice. The important thing I think that people who are building entertainment products need to know is that they're also communities. This is Web3. So it's not just the number of transactions per second or the gas fees or whatever it is. It's also about the community of people who own those governance tokens on that blockchain. What kind of people are they? What kind of content do they like? Are they in a particular, geographic region? What are their tastes? And so you need to think about making that product market fit when you consider a blockchain selection as well.
And as well, let's talk about NFTs. NFTs quite important for gaming, obviously, but there are as well different type of NFTs. Like probably the majority of people perceive it as just GPGs, or as well as there are music NFTs. And now the majority of NFTs are quite down. So for you, do NFTs have real value or not? And do you have yourself any NFTs?
Sure. So second question first, yes, I have lots of NFTs, but it's a hazard of my job. But I think also the important thing to think about about NFTs are, it's a very broad concept. So NFTs can of course be artwork or concert tickets or playable items in games. Specifically talking about playable items in games, I think that NFTs they have intrinsic value when they're useful in games. Because at the end of the day, when I create a playable NFT inside a game, that's the purpose of that NFT. And if I can then give it more utility outside that game, meaning I can make it interoperable with other games, so you could use it in several games, then the more utility it has, the more inherent value it should have to a player because it's useful in many different places. So our job as Web3 builders is to offer the basic utility in the game we create and then try to keep enhancing that utility over time through other experiences.
And do you have CryptoPunks or Apes Yacht Club?
I don't myself, but we do as a company, and obviously we work closely with some of these projects, so we work quite closely actually with the Apes Yacht Club specifically.
Nice. Yeah, you as well have a game where you can earn tokens and swap the ape coins.
Correct. And we're also specifically building a game for the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So we're building a fighting game which we announced at the end of last year, which will come out shortly.
So what's the idea of that fighting game?
So it's a game specifically for Bored Ape Yacht Club holders to be able to bring their apes in and use them in the game as playable avatars. So I think it will be the first major game that we will see that leverages that opportunity for Bored Ape holders.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
And as well, you work with football clubs too, with Manchester. Can you tell more about that? What you do with them?
So with football clubs and the football industry in general, we're working both with clubs and leagues and other players in the industry to try to bring elements of Web3 gaming and collectibles and different kinds of fan experiences to the football industry. So our major endeavor in this space is a joint venture that we have with a company called OneFootball from Germany. They're the largest provider of Web2 football media, and they work with many of the greatest football clubs across Europe and across the rest of the world. And so we partner with them to help them develop Web3 solutions for different football leagues and clubs. This includes games, metaverses, collectibles, etc.
And as well, some of your portfolio companies are not related to gaming,
yes,
but supporting as well like crypto and gaming, DeFi. I just checked that you invested into a request finance invoicing company. Can you tell about some more,
Sure.
some similar investments?
So we've also done a lot of investments that are the beauty of Web3 is that at the end of the day, everything has the potential to interoperate. It doesn't always interoperate now, but we have the potential and we're building towards that. And so the important thing is that when we think about some of those other services, DeFi services, for example, a lot of those are useful to gamers, even though they may not be central to gaming. So, for example, we invested in a business called Niftyfi, and you can take your playable NFT from a game over to Niftyfi and put it up as collateral for a loan, if you like, because they accept different types of NFTs as loan collateral. So, although it's not a game business per se, it's actually a service that is attractive and adds value to the gamer's experience inside our games. And the same is true for, invoicing services or other infrastructure. At the end of the day, because you own things in games, ultimately there is a chance that you are going to make money from selling things in games.
Yeah.
So if that happens, in many countries around the world, you may have to pay taxes on the money that you make in these games. So you will have to have infrastructure in the game to help facilitate that for customers, because otherwise customers have to do a lot of paperwork, and it's our job as the service provider to be able to make that easier for them.
Do you know really already existing cases of somebody paying taxes from play-to-earn games?
Yes, definitely.
Probably just from withdrawal already of stable coins.
Yes.
Unless they show it to
Yes.
to the bank, nobody will tax it.
Yes. Well, and also at the end of the day, people, when they use fiat off ramps, obviously you can make a lot of money in some games and from selling some NFTs. So you have to declare it. That's very important.
And what about betting, prediction markets? Do you invest as well into those types of platforms?
We have invested into prediction markets, so we invested into Prosper and we invested into PlotX, and those are, again, things that are tangential to gaming, and areas where we think it's interesting. They're interesting ways to connect with user groups and players to continue building this Web3 ecosystem.
And as well, where do you invest more into equity offerings or in token sales?
I'd say we do both, but probably more token than anything else.
And as well, you are staying now here in UK. Before you lived in Hong Kong. So how do you see gaming communities worldwide, and where these communities are most active?
Sure. I think in the Web3 area, there's a lot of activity going on here in Europe. I mean, there are hotspots, right? So in Europe, we have hotspots here in the UK, and in Portugal is a big hotspot these days for the blockchain-related game community. Obviously Dubai, but more for fintech and crypto. In Asia, Hong Kong is kind of in the center, but we have a lot of activity from north in Japan all the way down to Australia, where we have a couple of studios.
What about Vietnam?
And Vietnam is huge. Axie Infinity is from Vietnam. And then in North and South America, we have several studios in Latin America, and as well as gaming guilds. So as you know yourself, Latin America is a real hotspot for Web3. And then now North America, I think, has been a little bit slower, honestly, to come join the industry. But they've caught up very quickly over the last 12 or 18 months. So we see a lot of activity in North America as well now.
And what is your current investment sentiment in this bear market? Do you continue to actively invest into projects?
Yes, for sure, for sure. I mean, I think this is a. We've been through these market cycles before. What we're seeing at the moment, in our opinion, is fundamentally different from what we saw in 2018 and 2019. And I also think that for anybody who's been in the space for that long, they probably share that view. So I think many of us are quite excited, actually, that the correction in the markets, in the crypto markets, and overall macroeconomic condition allows us to have a little bit of rationalization and valuations. And honestly, it's just time to build stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And for how long will bear market continue? What's your opinion?
If I knew that, I'd be a very rich man. So I would guess, I don't know. I'm optimistic. I like to think that sentiment will turn around next year in the first quarter, but I know a lot of people think that it's potentially through next year. I'm more in the 6 to 9 month camp than the 12 to 18 month camp.
And so, what will be the next catalyst for the growth of the market?
I think it's going to be. Honestly, I think it's very sentiment driven in the Web3 industry, and particularly in crypto. So I think when we start to see prominent investors in the space coming back into the market and kind of declaring the bottom, I think you will see lots of people pile in and follow. Because I think that what I see at least is there's a tremendous amount of capital sitting, tight now in the market, not investing yet because they're waiting for the bottom. And so I think as soon as there is some consensus that, okay, this is pretty much the bottom, then you'll see lots of money come right back in and things will pick up quickly. So as quickly as they go down, of course, they go up.
Especially in crypto.
Yes.
And personally, do you invest a lot into crypto, in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or mostly you invest as a company?
So, number one, mostly as a company, and personally, I actually like to buy NFTs, personally, because I like to use them in games. I like art. I like all different kinds of, because for me, it's more about kind of Web3 culture. And also, as far as trading crypto in the market and stuff or stocks, I'm rubbish at that. So.
And when was your first time when you bought crypto?
I didn't buy crypto until the beginning of 2018. So relatively late compared to most people.
So you got into industry as a company, but
yes.
You probably got NFT earlier than
yes,
Bitcoin.
Definitely, and yes, seriously, because I only bought Ethereum maybe 4 or 5 months before my first NFT. So when we started going into it as a company is when I really learned about it. But I was not an early crypto adopter back in 2013, 14, like a lot of people in the space.
But did you know about crypto at that time?
Yeah, I did. But I did not, as I said, for me personally, until I got to meet the team at Dapper and we as a company started working on CryptoKitties, I did not foresee the relationship between blockchain and entertainment. For me, it made a lot of sense as a technology for fintech, obviously, or for things like property records or healthcare medical records. Like there's so many incredible infrastructure usages, but I did not foresee entertainment. And and in our company, Yat gets credit for that, our chairman, because he saw the writing on the wall first.
And can you share as well some upcoming plans for Animoca Brands?
Sure. So as I said, we have 2 games that have just launched, so Phantom Galaxies and Life Beyond, and I think those are going to be very exciting, within our portfolio this year, as well as our MotoGP Ignition, which just launched, and Torque Squad, which will launch shortly. So that's 4 major titles. Then we have upcoming our launch of our game with the Apes Yacht Club coming, and let me think, what else? There's a lot of other stuff coming. Nothing comes to mind at the moment, but yeah, that's 4 or 5 games between now and the end of the year.
Okay, we'll follow some more news from Animoca Brands and waiting for the release of new games. Thank you for interesting conversation.
Thank you, really appreciate it.